Welcome to The Gap, where it's our mission to bridge the gap between training and on-field performance.
I'm Brett Hart, owner of Hitman Performance.
And I'm Dan Labadia, the owner of Jack Javelin.
Hope you guys enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone, to this episode of The Gap. Today, we have two very special guests, the Velo fellas, Welty and Coach Saz. I am excited for you guys to be on here. We've talked a lot on Instagram and through text message, just letting people know that you're out here. You guys were also featured on Austin Yoakum's podcast, and that was one of the first podcasts I actually got into when I first started coaching, which I thought was really cool. And I did not plan that at all. When I asked you guys, I had no idea you were going on his. And then I saw that he posted yours, and I was like, oh, that's sick. They're coming on ours next. So if you haven't watched that one, definitely go check that out. But you guys take it away. Give us a little bit of introductory on who you are. Let the people know what you're about. And
Brian Casazza from Tampa, Florida. Got my undergraduate in biology at St. Lawrence University up in New York, and then got my master's at Springfield College. So my intro to S&C was kind of in high school. We actually had like an insane weight room, and our coach was like really deep down some rabbit holes. Tier system was one of them. We ran tier, and that was like the start of it. And then interned at St. Lawrence, and the strength coach there was like, yo, you got to go to Springfield College. And then once you go there, like, strength and conditioning just becomes your world, like, every single day. So
Hayden, by the way, I feel like he listened to this.
Hayden, Jungles,
Jungles, Adam Fight, all the Springfield legends.
I'm Nathan Welty, working here at Velocity, director of strength and conditioning. I guess my background is I got my undergrad from University of Wisconsin Superior in exercise science, master degree in educational leadership administration from St. Cloud State University. I was the graduate assistant strength coach for 2 years there, and then was another strength coach for the hockey program for another 2 years. I guess my introduction to strength and conditioning was just like I interned at the University of Minnesota with Cal Beats a couple times. So that's my first experience because my cousin was the assistant for Cal during those internships. So it was like, that's kind of what got me into it because I originally wanted to go the PT route, but didn't want to work with Gen Pop and people that just are not wanting to train hard. I wanted to stay in that athletic background.
Dude, tell us a little bit about being with Cal, because hearing him talk and the stuff I see on YouTube shorts and like the shit he does on the GHD and like the stuff that's absolutely wild. How does he
like Razor?
Yeah, and then with the band assistants just slamming back and forth, and then reading triphasic and triphasic 2, and then his sample program in the back, which is block 1 is up till like F in the alphabet. Like, how does that work? Like, give us a little insight just on that, because I feel like a lot of people are curious on how he can make it happen the way he says it does.
So, like, the big part of why he can do, like, all that crazy stuff in the sense of so much in, like, one block and stuff like that is because he has so many interns. He has so much help throughout the summers, especially the summers. He probably has, like, 9 to 10 interns. Then he has, like, one paid intern. Like, now it's a paid intern. It used to be an assistant strength coach that was hired by the University of Minnesota that would have a couple of their own teams, and then it'd be Cal for like hockeys. But now it's just like in that paid intern, which they actually got rid of. He just has so much help, so they can keep the weight room set up all day long, and you have so much extra help to like, hey, this is how you can do things. Like, this is how exercises are performed, stuff like that. If he didn't have that help, he would not be able to do half the stuff he does. Like, it's a giant lab experiment is the best way I can put it. All the like 1080 data that's being taken is just constantly running. They have it set up where it's like if they're doing like oscillatory bench, you go on the 1080 computer and it keeps all, like, if the women's hockey team's going in there, it's keeping all that data for that day. Click save, and then they'll upload it later and look at it later. It's just because he has so much help. That's the biggest thing why he can do it that way. It's if you don't fully understand it, the best thing I can say is try to go experience it, whether just even for a day, just try to go down there. It's completely different than the book to a certain degree. Like
Yeah.
you can read the books and like, oh, okay, this doesn't make sense, or there's no way this would work. Like unless you go experience it, you're not like you just can't understand it. Like even like last summer when I brought you down, it's a completely different. Like it just is like crazy. Like oh my, this is a lot.
You could read both books, you'll get the card, you won't have a clue
Yeah.
what you're doing.
I felt like that after I felt like I was looking, and he has that thing on his website where you can see if you're like the strength speed lacking or the speed strength, and then it juts out the workout for you. And I was like, Cal, I don't know what the fuck any of these exercises are. I was like, this is crazy. And there's just he always seemed to be like a mad scientist and like always trying to find things that were definitely outside the box. And I was just curious.
Yeah, so like the cards that he so has now, I would say has got dumbed down version of like it's just A B C D E F G and just the workout or the exercise right next to it where it used to be like things were highlighted different colors mean something different. It would have little notes like one eye shut, one eye open. RPR. You need to do RPR glute spot after this, which they still do that, but now it's like
Intraset RPR
Yeah.
with Theragun.
yeah, intraset RPR. There was like so many. There is still a lot of typos, but there was even more. Like I've showed him old cards that I have from when I interned there, and it's even more chaotic.
I had a question for you guys. I was actually going to save this for last, but since you guys gave a brief background on your formal education, and then now you're talking about, kind of learning under Cal Dietz and getting that almost informal education of just working with him and seeing how different it is from the book. Can you guys give your opinion on, what's the benefit of certifications and formal education versus informal education and actually going and learning under someone?
I'd say formal is less important than people make it out to be or like think. You know what I mean? Like if you're going into the field, you might think like, yo, I got to go get my master's in strength and conditioning or like be in exercise science for my bachelor's. I went pre-med, switched that to neuroscience for 3 years. And then I got to my last semester of undergrad and I was like, dude, I hate this. So I was like, all right, what's gonna let me graduate without taking organic chem, and how can I work with sports? All right, get a biology degree, get into strength and conditioning, um, and then like so I think going to Springfield and actually having that formal education was more important for me. Just like not having that exercise science background, but I'd say the majority of my education once I got to Springfield was like informal outside of the basics. So like that first semester, we're hammering the NSCA textbook. I feel like, you kind of have to know like that baseline level and go get your CSCS and then just can it. Go learn all the stuff that actually matters after that. Like, keep in mind that like the basic science you learned and like the basic protocols you learned can be important, but besides that, like just can it because that's literally just a textbook that is so general. You know what I mean? Like it can't take into account individuality. So then like once you get that informal education and you see how people either change their programming or their exercise selection based on their populations and things like that. Like you can't get that from a textbook. And coming out here last summer for my first internship, like my mind was blown. I go from like squat, bench, deadlift to, hey, we're actually going to drop this barbell and you're going to catch it before it hits you in the chest. All right. That's a little different. You know what I mean? Like that's not in the textbook.
Yeah, I guess for like me, it's kind of the same route of like you need to have like your CCS get you in the door. It's that formal education. It's your baseline for everything. But like I came up from like my exercise science degree was probably more towards Gen Pop, not really a big strength and conditioning background. Like my master's degree was my like degree wasn't towards strength and conditioning at all. It was more that if I want to become an athletic director in future endeavors or something like that. So like all of my learning came from on the fly as a GA. Like it was me and one other guy, and we had all the sports there. So it was a lot of just learning on the fly. Even like my internship with Cal, it was he gives you all these studies to read, summarize all those studies, but he's not spoon feeding you the answer. Like you have to be able to understand it, summarize it. If you have a question, you better have a general idea of what you think the answer is going to be beforehand, because he's not going to hand it to you. Um, so I think that's really helped me in the sense of understanding it's like what you read in a book is not what real life is going to be like. And I'm like slightly jealous of Brian's experience at Springfield College because like I didn't have that formal background of like reading the like studying for the NSCA certification in like a classroom setting. Like I had to take my CSCS certification when I was interning with Cal, which is completely opposites of each other, and it's very hard to like understand what Cal's trying to say and do and everything like that, and also study for the CSCS. So it's like it was information like overload a little bit. So like that's all I really know. Like Brian knew bench squat deadlift. Like I didn't really know that. Like we had a little bit of that in like college track, but like it was a very general and no one probably really took it very seriously. So like when I got done leaving Cal the first time, I went back for my senior year of college track. So then actually Cal was writing for me in college, like just the weight room side of things, which was again very hard to do as you've seen like jungles do stuff in Crunch Fitness. Try to do that in like the public health center of a D3 college weight room, which was open to the public. It was very funny. Like just doing band assisted jumps back then was I got all the eyes like, what are you doing?
To kind of answer the question, I think we both would lean more towards informal
Yeah.
education.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my thought being, if you could just go through the baseline past your CSCS,
Mm-hmm.
like you can be a great strength coach just by doing internships with the
Mm-hmm.
right people.
I would say if you ask any of our interns or any of the interns I've had over the last 3 years, they would probably agree with that.
Yeah. I
I
mean, I was
remember.
mind blown when I came out here. Like I said that already, but literally, me and Joe are standing here the first day, and Nate's got 25 exercises on the board, and it's like right leg lunge with, and then left arm row ISO, 30 seconds each, and then the next one's like I don't even know, right arm bench press, left leg lunge, and me and Joe are like messing up, telling people where to go, and then like by the end of the week, Nate's sending us a text, "Hey boys, program for tomorrow," and we're like, I mean, me and Joe started texting each other like, "Yo, we're not as smart as this guy. Like, what does he think we're gonna do?" And so it was like literally learn on the fly. We went back, looked at the lifts we had already done, and we're like, all right, how can we make it look like this but not be the exact same lift?
Just copy, paste, hope it work, change a little bit. I remember we made a post early on and about the certifications and if they mattered. And my opinion was no. I share the same thought process with you guys. Like the CSCS is to get in the door, and I think a lot of people put a lot more value in it than it needs it. It's literally just to make sure you can get hired at a college sector if like you want to work there. But I remember Adam Fight, just because we were talking about Springfield, was saying like pretty much saying like, oh, this you had to say that for like the engagement on Instagram just to give like the simple answer, but it's obviously much more complex than that. But I know with exercise science, like undergrad, like my experience is like very similar in a little bit. Like seeing what you guys were doing in the masters at Springfield, it was not at all what I went through. It was a lot of generalization and a lot of going by the book and doing that. But I was also coaching in person a lot as well during it, which a lot of people weren't. And I noticed the same thing that you were saying, Welty, is like you're trying to learn two languages at once. Like you're reading the book and you know you have to study for this, but in real life, like it doesn't exist. Like I had a group of 35 kids in a weight room with 5 squat racks, 3 trap bar deadlifts, and one of the racks was broken and the safeties wouldn't get put up, and it was just me. So I was like, the book doesn't tell me how to do that, and that's learning on the fly, and that's, I think, what makes coaches great, is to be able to do that and to be adaptable. And going into that, like, you guys have a lot of experience learning under a lot of coaches, learning from different practices and everything. And I love this question, and I know we were talking about it over text. It's like pretty funny because you guys can talk about this for hours, and so can I. But who would be like your Mount Rushmore of coaches? Who's the most influential coaches to you, and your favorites? You can list if they were influential to you or you just love them and what they talk about and whatever. Just take the floor with that. Give me like a top 4 to 5 most influential.
Start out, Ryan.
Well, it's just we were debating this up until literally you sent the Zoom link. So
Stressing. They were stressing about
They didn't
this.
sleep last night.
there's just so many, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
shout out the Springfield Mercenaries for always getting me thinking. That's our group chat from the second years. But start off, I think one that's like obvious for, I'd say, all four of us here, DB Hammer. I mean, and, you know, Cal, Victor, Corpus, like all his disciples, everybody who's taken that and kind of revived it. But yeah, just like thinking of things from a neurological perspective, auto-regulation, like how far can we push the organism, and then how much recovery do we need? Following whatever 1% versus 3% versus 5% drop off, doing things for time rather than for reps, like 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds. And then along with that, like thinking of things in terms of rate, magnitude, and duration. So I'm assuming you guys have read the book, but in case you're not familiar, rate is basically how fast can I do something, how fast can I turn on, turn off. So like we're thinking like oscillations. Magnitude is going to be like amount of force. So like think of really high depth drop. It's going to be a ton of force. Like the drop squats, drop catches, all that's going to be more magnitude based. And then duration is how long can you sustain those two, basically.
Capacity.
Yeah, capacity. We term it capacity. Capacity Fridays are kind of famous here, so.
Gotta let it eat on Fridays.
Oh yeah, I'll start with DB Hammer. You can take the next one.
Well, I guess for me, like Brian already kind of mentioned it, disciples, right? But for me, I would say like my biggest like mentor is going to be Cal, just because I credit a lot of just everything that's happened to me in the space of strength and conditioning because of Cal. Like I talk to him pretty frequently still. Like try to talk with him once a month. Try to visit there at least 2 times a year, even literally 20 minutes down the road. So I do try to get down there the most. It's not even like the books. Like just I think being around him has had more influence on me more than the books itself. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't read Triphasic 2. I've read Triphasic 1, super easy read. Triphasic 2 is an easy read too. But like from my conversations with Jungles and Cal, they've said like you've seen all of it. You probably don't need to read it. And just me skimming through the book, a lot of it that's in there, it was already like happening when I was interning, so it wasn't like I need to read it. That's just, I would say Cal is probably like a really high up there for me. Next one, I would say, not a lot of people know this for like where I interned with Nick DeMarco. It's complete opposite with Cal. Cal's mad scientist. Nick DeMarco is like a really good like logistics and actually a really good coach. I'm not saying Cal's not a good coach, but it's like very 2 different ends of the spectrum. So like learning to be a good coach is definitely more than Nick DeMarco. He actually is really smart as well. He just got his doctorate, I think.
Where is he out of?
Elon University.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the name sounded extremely familiar, but I couldn't remember the school.
So like the 8 vector system, him and Jordan Newsma, who's actually with 49ers right now. He worked, or Jordan worked there when Nick DeMarco was there. There's a couple other assistants at the time as well. I knew Jordan because Jordan actually had interned with Cal as well after me. So it was like, once you become an intern with Cal, you kind of like have that little Springfield kind of thing going on.
Not as culty.
Not as culty. Not
Springfield's
as-
very culty.
pretty close though. Pretty close. But yeah, Nick DeMarco would be like another one for me. I don't know.
One we were talking about before this was Joel Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like, well, maybe it's not obvious, but we have never talked to Joel Smith, and maybe you have
I've
through
talked to him,
like
once,
Instagram
yeah.
DMs, but like we've never really had any interaction with him. But just putting out all that information is so huge. You know, Welty's a little older, so he might not have had the experience of growing up and just being able to listen to podcasts to get his info. He actually had to pick up a book. But like last summer, I lived 30 minutes from Velocity. Mornings, 30 minutes in, Joel Smith, 30 minutes home, Joel Smith. There's an episode. So an episode a day. Gosh, I must have ripped 125 episodes of Just Fly. And I started to feel pretty smart. But you know how that goes. As soon as you do, somebody has something new and you're like, oh, maybe I know nothing. So Joel Smith, and then you already mentioned him, but I think a huge one for me and for a lot of people who have been through the Springfield college system is going to be Adam Feit. Maybe a little lesser known than he should be.
I don't know.
Considering like where he's been and like all the things he's done. So he's with Precision Nutrition early on. So he's like huge on nutrition. His thing right now is psychology. He's got his doctorate in that. And like, I've always kind of been like not an anti-psychology guy, but like, you know, just suck it up and go hard. But like getting into the whole neurology square one, which obviously you guys just had Sam Davis on, so I don't need to explain square one. If your listeners haven't heard of it, go back and watch that episode. But getting into all that, you start to understand like how big psychology is and imagery. You just go to Cal's weight room. He's got the picture of the cheetah, the picture of the rhino, the picture of the elephant. Like guys, this summer we're talking about
Cheetah.
huh?
Cheetah.
Yeah, cheetah, or like race car, right before they sprint, just to like subconsciously put that image in their head. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, that's
kind of genius.
That is genius. Dan Fichter does the thing in his gym where his athletes put up their favorite athlete to like, and they stand at attention. So like, I don't know if you've heard about that, or like where they literally will stand. The Superman. Yeah, like the hand power position, like wide stance, hands on the hips, chest proud, and they just stare at their picture like Barry Sanders or whatever their favorite athlete is, and they try to envision themselves moving like that. And that's crazy. I never heard of cheetah before or something like that. I've heard of it before, but nothing like that. That's actually really cool.
we just started doing it after actually seeing Fichter at Revolutions in Speed.
I thought you were just randomly saying words when you
No. Victor brought it up like, hey, this is like how I'll get my kids to do imagery, like even if they're not thinking about it. And I was like, oh, let's start trying it. Cheetah, race car, meow.
You know what's actually funny? Something I did with the kids, with my youth kids, was the Lightning McQueen I am speed. And I would make them say it before they sprint, but I had no idea that's what I was doing. I thought I was just being an idiot and like making it fun.
Just getting back to Fight, just a guy who like would constantly challenge my ideas. I'd say you've mentioned like your undergrad experience was nothing like our master's experience. So I'd say I kind of poisoned the water a little bit after coming back from Velocity. You know, everybody's seeing me posting impulses, oscillations, drop catches, and they're like texting me about all summer, like, yo, what is this stuff? Like, we got to learn. So once I got back, everybody kind of jumped in the rabbit hole. And so through that, once we got to like advanced methods, our second semester of our second year, so like last semester, Fight was willing to open up to us and be like, what do you guys want to explore? And then he'd take us through it, challenge our ideas, you know, present us with, I don't know, his different ideas that might contrast our views, and, you know, just constant thinking and just being in that environment was.
Saz, what's really cool about you saying that Joel Smith is on your Mount Rushmore is that my mentor is Javelin Anatomy. His name's Kevin Foster. Have you guys heard of him?
Yep.
Yeah. So he made the mobility program Mobility Ability back in 2020. And so that program blew up. A lot of baseball players used it as well. And his whole thing was he was on the fascia wave before fascia became like a meme. Obviously, like if you do it properly, it's like, you know, it is beneficial for throwing and whatnot. But he had a lot of really good stuff. And when he was first starting off, he actually was writing articles for Just Fly Sports. So if you look on Just Fly Sports website, there's a ton of actually javelin articles written on there, and they're all written by Kevin Foster. And so I always think it's funny because like whenever I'll Google stuff about javelin, like a lot of times those blog posts will pop up, and it's Just Fly Sports, and it's like an article about jav, and it's really cool because Kevin would definitely be on my Mount Rushmore of coaches that mentored me. I worked under him as an athlete, and then when I started the Jacked Javelin brand, you know, he mentored me on the javelin coaching and business side of things too.
Another one would be honestly Jake Turra. Funny enough, Jake and I actually went to the same undergrad together, and he actually did work for me at Velocity, so you could say like I again was his boss technically.
The admin? You were the admin's boss?
Yeah, I was the admin's boss.
Who's the admin's admin?
Yes, exactly.
Were you responsible for the creation of hypertrophy clusters?
It was being built when he was here. Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
So literally almost every program Jake has put out, I have been a dummy for it. So I've had to go through clusters. He originally had a 5-day clusters. Would not recommend doing 5 days of clusters. Clusters, his knee protocol.
If you look at JKP, all the pictures are in Velocity.
Yes, every single picture.
Or Planet Fitness, but most of them are in Velocity.
He's doing the quad extension ISO and Planet Fitness, right?
Dude, I did a 5-minute quad extension overcoming ISO at Planet Fitness 2 weeks ago. It was hilarious.
He's setting the lunk alarm off.
Oh, I got some stairs.
Yeah, like, but no, Jake would be a good one for me on Mount Rushmore, and I don't think it's from like really like teaching me anything new per se, but I think just like Jake's very good at arguing things and really questioning on your thoughts and your process behind everything you're doing. It comes off as sarcastic and being a sarcastic asshole the way he does it, but it really makes you think, do things work? Is it a placebo thing? Do you really need to be doing this with certain athletes? Stuff like that. And I can't thank him enough for that as well. And he's also one of my pretty good buddies, I would say, even though I haven't seen him in a while.
You saw him like a month ago.
Yeah, but he texts me he's going to come by Velocity like every couple weeks, and he never shows up.
Jake will come in, like, play spike. We'll, like, go to the office to grab water or something. We'll come back, and he's gone.
Just disappear. He's a nomad, dude. I remember during COVID, he would just go to different gyms, like all throughout the country. And I remember talking to Adam Menner at Varsity House in Jersey, and I remember asking him like if he knew about Jake Turra, because it was right around the time like I was really big into clusters and everything. And he was like, "What the hell does that guy do for work?" He like just goes around random places, and I was like, that's pretty sick though. I would love to do that, just to be able to go and do like a tour of gyms across the country and just have no affiliation to anything and just learn from other people.
My favorite thing about Jake is how he's just so blunt, like you were saying, Welty, about how when people reach out with questions about the program and he's just like, nah, there's no questions. You either just buy it or you don't. And it's so true though, because once you're in the space for long enough and you have enough people that, you know, buy your stuff or work with you with no questions asked, you're just like, all right, I just want to work with more of those people and eliminate the headaches. And so that was a really big thing that I learned early on, was like, all right, dude, if people are DMing me and like asking for screenshots of the program for like samples and like free trials and going back and forth about, you know, is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? Why is it so expensive? Like Brett got last week. It's like, all right, dude, if you don't want it, just don't get it. Just keep it pushing.
Yeah, that's how he was though. Like even when like he would coach athletes here, he was just so blunt. It's just so funny because like athletes would be like, "Can I switch to this?" He's like, "I guess if you want, but I just follow the program."
there's no deviation. He's like, why wouldn't you just do what's on the board?
Yeah, and the athletes that've been here since like took the job here, that still train here always ask me like, dude, I see Jake like he's in like New Jersey. Like, dude, what's he doing for work right now? Like, how does he make money? Like, how is he traveling? Is he just living in his car? I'm like, yeah, basically. Yeah.
This will be my last one, but and you guys aren't gonna know who it is, but Jason Lane, my high school strength coach, high school football coach. That was kind of like my intro to SNC, and I always hear you guys talk about on your podcast like that foundational strength, dude. Nobody was like us. I mean, one, I was down in Tampa, Florida, playing football. So if you want a comparison, Minnesota hockey, New York basketball might be like the closest things as far as high school sports go. But I mean, um, everybody knows football is huge in Texas, Florida, and California. We would start our off season 2 weeks after the season ended, and just from like a foundational perspective, like obviously bench squat dead was in there, but we were running tier system. And his whole thing was like, I don't just want you guys to do the lifts. I want you guys to gain the knowledge to be able to go on and like when you're done, go be able to lift in the gym without, looking like an idiot. Although now I do that for fun. I go in and drop bars and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I've just never seen a high school team or a high school culture like that. And I'd say my closest experience would be like St. Thomas football Division One. Because like no offense to anybody at Springfield, but I mean, my high school team would probably go in there and outlift every single person in there. Like it was insane. 8 guys, 18 or younger, cleaning 315.
Jeez.
Almost the whole team squatting 315 plus. Like we had 550 squats, 500 squats, and I mean like ass to grass. Like, his thing was hip crease below knee. It's just like constantly in our heads. No cell phones in the weight room. Like kind of that old school grind mentality. I remember when he got there, like weight room was trash. The floors were like all like the matting was all overlaid on top of each other. First thing we did was get new squat racks and as a team rip out that flooring, move all the squat racks, move all the weights, and literally build that weight room. He was like, "You guys, if this is going to be your space, you're going to fucking build it." You know what I mean? So just yeah, huge shout out to him. And if you're in Tampa, Florida, go find him
Did we do that with EP Girl? Can you convince them to do that?
to build the weight room.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get the high school girls to build the weight room.
Yeah.
If you're gonna train, you're gonna build this place.
The dynamic
But I
warm
mean,
up.
maybe like that sense of like this is mine, like this is my weight room. When I step in here, like this is our house. So that's obviously great for like a culture like football where you're going to war every week with your boys. So
And then I guess my last one um, is going to be like my cousin who's not current. He was with the Philadelphia Flyers as their head strength and conditioning coach for 3 years, 3 or 4 years. It must have been 4. He actually just took a job with the Atlanta Hawks, so now he's the head strength coach for the Atlanta Hawks. And I guess just
say his name.
Dan Warnicki. All right, thanks, coach. Dan Warnicki, and I just think just because, yeah, it was similar to Cal in the sense like that, but I think just because I have so much respect because he is family and he is very much a sarcastic person and like I could not mess up in the sense because like he definitely helped me get that internship. So that desire and that passion is because of like if I mess up, it looks bad on him. So like that desire to always be better has been instilled because of my internship under Cal, but in reality it became or was from him being like the assistant and not making him look bad. Still reach out to him constantly. Like our force play data last year was me reaching out and want to have a call with him of like how they set up their force play testing with the Flyers and getting metrics from him. So I'm constantly learning from him, not even just from like the strength and conditioning side, but like his family side of just having like work life balance. He really takes that pretty seriously I remember when I was interning there, he would always say, like, if you try to reach out to me after 8 o'clock, I'm not answering. Like, that is my time with my family. Like, I'm not answering anyone. If you try to get into the weight room early before you're supposed to be here, I'm not letting you in. Like, I'd be at the door at 5:30 in the morning. I know he's there. He's not letting any interns in until 6 o'clock. Like, he wanted everything. If it was his time, he kept everything his time. Just because the work-life balance in general is so hard in this field that you have to be able to maintain it as best you can and respect that time with your family, loved ones, stuff like that, and understand, like, yes, we can love this as a hobby and a job, but you also have to have there is life outside of this as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, you always got to have those boundaries with this career because it could easily turn into a 7 day a week thing if you're constantly working on your online programs or content, or a certain client can only do a certain day or a certain time, and there's a time when you should take those people and build your clientele to a point where you want to work with people. But then when you get to the point where you have a family, you have a business, you have interns underneath you, then you got to get more strict with it as time goes on. We just had Dr. Heenan on the podcast 2 days ago, and I asked him a very similar question at the end. I was like, as a younger guy asking an older guy, like, how do you balance everything without abusing stimulants? Because our whole thing was just like with
That's perfect.
because that was our whole conversation with him was pretty much about like the neurology of things and how the brain works. And Brett and I both have been abusing.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucked up.
Not abusing, but I mean, I haven't
Yeah.
been abusing, but we've been definitely reliant on the caffeine, the nicotine, and things like that, like to get us through those hard, long weeks and days. So yeah, it's good to have those older mentors in your life that are kind of like, showing you the way in terms of how to operate long term.
Yeah, unfortunately, my older mentor got me addicted to Rain and Ghost energy drinks. So I already had the nicotine addiction coming in, but Welty just he was like, "Yo, here's another vice for you. Thanks."
Honorable
It's a
mention off
super.
in
It's
the
a
open.
superset.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a lot.
there's a lot of honorable mentions. Tura, Yoakum, Will Rattel, Tim Riley.
The
I'm
fellas.
saying it. The Springfield Mercenaries. Um, just keep going. Slater, Jungles. You could go on and on and on.
Dude, we all have we have our personal ones that we grew up with, and I think what really got me into strength and conditioning was the fact that I didn't have a coach in high school. I was literally trying to figure it all out on my own. I never had a actual strength conditioning coach in our weight room telling us what to do. So that's why I looked at Instagram, like every 16-year-old guy does, is just scroll. And so just the amount of people that I've saw, and I think the coolest thing about the Dr. Heenan episode is that I followed him when I was 16, and then almost 10 years later, he's in my parents' house in my old childhood room filming a podcast together. So it's crazy just to go down rabbit holes like that and to take what's useful that you find on Instagram or YouTube or books and podcasts and try to apply it to yourself. So that can lead into our next question of just the importance of pretty much just being your own test subject. If you're programming for athletes, how important is it for you to go through it yourself, go through the fire, almost push the limits a little bit? So you can even mention the Mito and the 5-minute isometrics as well, or the 200 hip flexor impulses and stuff. How important is it to push your body to the limits like that, and then to understand, all right, maybe you don't have to go that crazy to get the result you want with your athlete, but you still should know it.
Yeah, I think part of being your own test subject and what it stems from is obviously all the things you mentioned. You want to test it before you give it to your athletes, but once you've been lifting for a while, you get the basic bench squat dead. You just want to try something new eventually. I know for me, when I came here last summer, I was just kind of getting tired of the same, we're gonna curtsy lunge, we're gonna squat, we're gonna whatever it might be, split squat, just like the basic lifts. So then getting introduced to drop catches and oscillations, I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, yo, this is sick. And Lock and Reed, another
Workhorse, yeah, workhorse. He hasn't, dude. He posts for like a month or two straight, and then he ghosts like the rest of the year. So you
dude.
don't see him.
Well, right now he's working, but
Mhm.
Teaching.
yeah, he's teaching. Talk about going back to like your last question a little bit, but somebody who's like influenced me and who I learned from. I come in last summer to Velo, and he's writing all the programming. We're doing Racehorse Infinity.
I
All
wasn't
the
even working here.
Yeah, he wasn't working here; he was just training. But we're just doing Racehorse Infinity, bands on everything, double bands if we can, pulling you in every single direction. And come to find out, Locken just finished undergrad, has no exercise science background, and I'm sitting here like, wow, what do I know? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's almost better to not have that. Like not better, but you come in with like a brand new, like in Locken's experience, like not having the exercise science thing, he can just look at things that he thinks are useful and experiment. And I think with the exercise science background, like you're taught a certain way, and so it's hard to deviate from that way since people higher up, professors, PhDs, like master class people that you are perceived to be like the top of the field and have that knowledge that if you don't do it their way, then it's wrong or not right. So I think it's cool to see how I didn't even know he didn't have any exercise science background, but I did his programs. It makes complete sense. I did all his programs. It makes complete sense. He didn't have exercise science background because I'm reading it and doing it. I'm like, there's no way people would do this in a college. Like they would not teach what I'm doing right now. And I thought that's really cool and definitely shout him out because he was the first person that like had a program written out that like I followed that did a lot of the DB Hammer stuff and that got me down that rabbit hole.
yeah. Then kind of goes right back to you guys' first question about like informal versus formal. Obviously, all of his education's like informal as far as strength and conditioning. So obviously, you could be pretty good without the formal background. But going into like being your own test subject, why are we gonna try things first? If something is bagging me, like Mido is like the easiest example, so we'll get into that. But if we give guys Mido and we want to see like how many sets should we prescribe, well, we should probably have done it. And
Can you just explain what Mido is first before you get into it?
actually, it's called a selective muscle fiber density training. But basically, what it entails is a 40-second overcoming isometric followed by 60 seconds of isokinetic movement. Obviously, we don't have any like isokinetic devices here, so we're just going 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up on, say, a bench press or whatever the exercise might be. And kind of the main goal is to fatigue all your fast twitch fibers with the overcoming ISO and then hit all the slow twitch with the isokinetic work. And I mean, Brett, you did it. How's it feel?
It sucks.
It's like
It's tough.
the
It's very
burn.
tough.
The burn is like not like a bodybuilding burn. It's like worse than anything I've ever felt.
The hip flexor one is ridiculous. I can't even. For the first time I did it, I couldn't push my knee up for more than 15 seconds. It felt like I had nothing there, and then going into like the hip flexor crunch, like the knee flexion with the band, it was the deepest burn in the hip that I ever felt, and I can't replicate it doing anything else.
But yeah, obviously, so we want to factor all that in, like how fatigued am I? How am I feeling? And then think about, okay, now what if I had to skate twice today? So should I actually prescribe 5 sets of Mido, knowing these guys are skating, doing skill work, doing whatever else they might do on top of it, um, and kind of just evaluate like that? Is my thought process. You got anything?
Yeah, so like it's weird because you want to test things on yourself to see if you can like one you can handle it too. Is it a good could be a good thing for you to give your athletes or bad thing to give your athletes? But that's like in the hockey culture, I would say like everyone thinks more is better, which I would argue, especially me, I enjoy frequency. I enjoy just training as a whole. Example, I've been doing triple sessions for the last 4 weeks.
Welty's superhuman.
Yeah,
In case
yeah.
you didn't know, he does 6 a.m. session. Then he trains with me. Then we do our ISOs or impulses or drops, whatever it is for the day from Slater.
Then sometimes train again.
Sometimes he trains again, but other times he goes home and then he fights a fire. So eventually he sleeps. Allegedly, I've never been there for it, but
Are you sure?
tonight,
He's superhuman.
kind of hard to believe.
But yeah, so like for me, I guess the big reason why I train that often is because like if like Brian alluded to, like our hockey guys might have two skates and they just go work. Like if they're able to do it, like I should be able to train more than just one time a week or not one time a week, one time a day. And I think let's trying to push the limits of like what can I handle. In reality, they're an elite athlete; they should be able to essentially handle more. But then I'll be doing something. I'm like, okay, this is just stupid. Like our pro guys aren't going to want to one like this. Two, they're just not going to do it. Like they're going to complain and understanding like trying to push that needle, but like also like trick them if that makes sense. Because like sometimes like some of our athletes, like if we gave them 5 minute ISOs, I've gave athletes 5 minute ISOs, not to the same degree that we are currently doing them. I've done like the basic ones from like Cal's book, which is like lunge, dumbbell bench, like a row, and then a glute thing. But not like, but it's a different type of 5 minute ISO. It's just like a yielding hold as long as you can, not like we've been doing, which
Not
is
like contract your butt cheek on the beat.
yeah.
You know,
never
right?
did
The right butt cheek contract 60 beats per minute.
Oh, I thought it was just me. Yeah.
I had the same thing. I had it on the Saturday.
So I think just understanding like what hard training feels like, so you can even put yourself in that mentality of okay, this is how maybe our athletes feel coming into a session. Like today, we worked out at Austin's this morning. Like I felt tired. I felt like trash. So maybe this is what my athletes feel like when they have two skates the night before, and our pro guys come in for a 7:30 session. They skated till 10 o'clock at night for some reason. Oh, maybe they feel like absolute trash. Maybe this isn't the smartest thing to do, but like I'm not a pro hockey player. I'm gonna do it no matter what. Maybe with the pro hockey guys, this wouldn't be a great idea.
Yeah, it's like to sum it up, it gives you insight into what they're gonna feel or experience. Like if we're going through it and we're struggling from like a technical aspect, it's like, all right, if we're struggling with technique on this, like maybe we should not program that for guys that don't move as well and don't train as often,
or just aren't married to the weight room.
Or yeah, like we've all got a few weight room warriors, but you know everybody's not going to want to do that. So yeah, it gives you insight, and then like with the 5 minute ISOs, like you know it's pretty boring. So now, like if you don't do them, you probably don't know that it looks great on paper. It's like yeah, 5 minute ISOs, like these are super beneficial. But is the training going to be engaging? Like, are they actually going to go in it and be intentful? So you get some insight into that as well.
I mean, I 100% know the feeling of a boring 5 minute ISO, like the right post out hold for 5 minutes. That's so boring, dude. And it just hurt. It just burns. And then my arm's just like slowly like falling down. Like I'm trying to keep it up.
250 drops.
I think, yeah, doing an excessive number of depth drops is super boring. I mean, not something we'd give our guys, but like.
You gave me 50.
That's cute.
We had 200.
How many did you do? 200? That's probably 200. That probably takes 20 minutes to do.
We started at 255 and we ended at 324.
Oh shit! Yeah, so 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
It's 500 drops total. So.
Oh shit! Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then is that like your first block, and then you go into other stuff?
I'll let you explain.
We're talking about Slater stuff right now, right?
Yeah.
Just like purely. What did we do before that?
Well, I went to Yoakum's at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I come here and wait till you get here. Yeah. Basically. And then yesterday was sprints.
Yeah, so depending, we'll usually ask Jared, like, yo, are these ISOs going to be better before or after? And, you know, if he replies, then we'll go with whatever he says. Like, last Friday, I want to say it was, Nate did not want to
I
do
did not want to do
lunge
before.
ISO before, and I was like, "Yo, Jared, please tell us we have to do these before sprinting and capacity Friday," which was going back to Cal A through E or A through F
Stay
or
alive.
G or H, whatever, like 10 exercises. But yeah, Jared said beforehand, so we did our ISOs before. Then we did our whole capacity Friday.
No, we ate.
Then we ate. Then we did capacity Friday. Then we played spike ball for 3 hours. So that's kind of like how our training kind of goes. It's somewhere the order changes, but
We train all day.
those happen. So we have our main training block. We have Jared's isos, drops, or impulses, and then we have spike ball as either our warm up or our cool down or both.
At what point does it matter what order you do things in? Like, is there like a specific, okay, you have to do the dynamic warm up, then you do mobility, then you fire up your CNS, then you lift, and then you finish it with an ISO? Or is it just as beneficial if you do everything across the board? It doesn't matter what order you do it in.
Nothing matters until it matters, and then realize it never mattered.
Say that a little louder.
Nothing matters till you realize it mattered, but then you realize it never actually mattered.
You want to give us some insight?
No, I just dropped the mic.
You can relate it to like training, you can relate it to sports. Like reality, some of the guys we have from our pro guys, like they probably don't need train, or like if they do train, like Brian can look from this summer and last summer, like some of our pro guys probably wouldn't need the train and they'd be perfectly fine going into the season. If they just skated a little bit, they'd be fine just because they're already good. Like we can talk about like a pro hockey guy that we don't train, but like, you can look at in the league is Connor McDavid's going to be Connor McDavid. Sidney Crosby's going to be Sidney Crosby. Alex Ovechkin's going to be Alex Ovechkin. Like,
I mean, Ovechkin's training gets posted all the time. Like, dude, come on.
yeah. So,
I mean, he's doing like what, alternating plank with the arm lift. Like
It's like LeBron's training. It's like those guys are gonna be great no matter what they do.
so that's why it's like I don't really would like the order. Like when I train with Austin and I sprint, like what ideally, like an ideal world is getting up at 4:45 a.m. to just go work out, even though I don't have clients till 4 o'clock. Smart? No, it's not. But I like training. Like an ideal world, it'd be better off to sleep, probably sprint, and then train, or like do the lift and then do maybe isos or whatever. Like whatever is more neurologically fatiguing. But I don't like. I just doesn't happen. So that's where I think it doesn't truly matter a ton in the big picture of things. So like a lot of the athletes are they just training consistently? Like if they want to get better, I think the training needs to be intense to create a stimulus and create that adaptation and change. But I don't think necessarily the order you do things in matters as much as what people actually think it does. Because I think the intent behind and just like the culture and environment can change a lot more than just like, oh, if I do the dynamic warm up first and then I go and then I do my ISOs and then the lift. Like this summer we have guys that want to do the conditioning, our sled conditioning first. Like no warm up, nothing. They see it on the board walking in, or they know it beforehand. The first thing they ask, can I just start with sled conditioning? And it's like 6 a.m. right away. I'm like, no, like I would not do this before. Like I just want to get it done with. I'm like, all right, sure, go ahead. And then they rip it, and then they lay on the floor for 10 minutes, and then they get up and they go do the lift, and then they leave.
it's kind of like Victor says, like you don't jump 40 inches unless you could do it at any moment. Like just kind of going into that. As far as does the order really matter? You know, Welty's doing triples. I was doing doubles last summer, and it was the complete opposite of what would be like optimal because I had racehorse in the afternoon, but I was also interning at St. Thomas in the mornings, and they would give us like, dude, it was like diabolical, the lifts they were giving us. It was like APRE 6
Clusters.
and clusters. It was like hypertrophy clusters or APRE. And then, so I'd basically max out by my last set every single day. And then I'd come, and in the afternoon, we're doing racehorse, which is like complete. If anything, those should be flipped. Like you would want to do racehorse, all the fast, esoteric, reactive nonsense. That's what we like to refer to it as, and then do like the max strength work. But I literally did it inverse, and at St. Thomas, I mean,
You PR'd your bench.
well, yes, we'll get to that, but um, literally like no warm up. I'm like, dude, I got to go to Velo by 12 o'clock. It's 11. Like I got to go. So I'm 95, 8x5 bench, 8x5 row, whatever it is. Like immediately, just as fast as I could, I was lifting, and then hauling ass over here, and then coach like one or two groups. Boom, racehorse, and it worked. I mean, the gains were actually phenomenal. I finally broke the 315 plateau last summer, and then my bench is just absolutely blown up since. So,
What are you at now?
if anybody's wondering,
What'd you say?
350.
350?
Yeah.
Sweet. That's awesome. That's actually my
Mine's
goal.
not there yet, guys. Don't worry about it.
I haven't benched in like 3 months because my shoulder's shot, so it's all right.
That's my goal for the day before my surgery in November. Because that was the whole reason I'm doing 75 hard was I started it to finish November 12th, the day before my elbow surgery. And that was my goal, is to hit 350 on bench, because I hit 340 2 years ago, but haven't made it a priority since then. And just like a lot of what you guys are talking about too, with me doing, like we were talking about off camera, me doing the 75 hard was kind of that same mindset as you guys. Was like, all right, you got the 2 workouts in the day and you have to do it 7 days a week. And so I made it a goal to try to run at least 3 or 4 times a week. And, sometimes it doesn't happen until 9 o'clock at night. And that's not like the optimal or ideal time to do it, but it's kind of just like I will benefit from just getting it over with and just doing it.
I mean, all I was listening to when you guys were talking is how much of an absolute nightmare it'd be in like a college setting. Just trying to like as coaches, like training athletes, you definitely get the feeling of you want to be in control and you want to make sure everything is periodized and written out and they're following it to a T. It's like that's just a coach's bias. I think if you're running a session, and we were talking with Caden about this before, of just allowing the athletes to be themselves, be athletes, do what they need to do. And so you guys pretty much saying like, F the script, like you essentially just burn the script of like what you should do and like a day-to-day training scheme. And I think that's just really interesting, and like my thought process for a lot of it is just to show like there's a million different ways to get to the result that you want to get at.
Yeah, I don't like Brian said, like it doesn't matter, or I said it doesn't matter until you realize it mattered and then realize it never actually mattered.
Mic drop.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's true. And I think a lot of coaches will prioritize things that in the end don't really matter.
Well, dude, that's also like
Right in between you, right above where it says the gap, you just put Welty's quote right there, and then yeah.
We'll actually get a fat head of Welty and then a text bubble of it. You have a Welty fat head?
Not a fat head, but we have a picture from Nate's college track. What was it? Your college track photo?
Yeah.
Roster picture. And yeah, we brought it to his firefighter graduation.
That's
It was
awesome.
great. And into Burton's work, let me pull up my notes. But
I volunteered us for this, so just to
yeah, so obviously we've been doing it from Jared Slater, who did Dr. Jared Burton's internship, Train Efficiently on Instagram for anybody listening.
Oh, so that's okay. See, like it's funny because you were saying him, but I was like, I didn't know who that was, but I know his Instagram handle.
Yeah, so Slater did his mentorship, and that's why we are all his lab rats. But basically, with the 5-minute ISOs, I learned this part from Jungles, but 3 minutes will break a compensation pattern, but you have to hold the additional 2 minutes to basically start rewiring and create a new pattern. And from like Jared's point of view, what he's looking for is this thing called functional motor weakness. So all of us, Brett, me, you, and Welty, we all had some form of functional motor weakness, which is a loss of strength or stability without structural damage due to reduced brain activation. Now, how does he know like where, like what specific ISOs we need? is going to correspond to specific parts of the brain. And so, like, by looking at your posture, is how it's going to be expressed. So, for example, soft pyramidal weakness is frontal cortex, usually from like traumatic brain injury, stress, or like, I don't know, other lifestyle factors. But that'll present as ipsilateral, basically sagging. So, like, one side just has a lack of muscle tonus. And then there's specific ISOs to fix that, so you know that problem's in the frontal cortex, and you know like that's actually coming back online once you see that start to even out. Welty's is actually the cerebellum, so that'll present differently than the soft pyramidal. He'll have like one or two of the same symptoms. He might have like a shoulder sag on one side, but then on the other side, his forearm's more internally rotated, which with the soft pyramidal and the frontal, that would all be on the same side. So it'll present differently. And then we're doing specific isometrics. So, like, for example, we talked about the Zercher right glute contraction on the metronome beeps. We're trying to send signals to that muscle that it needs tonus. So it needs to fire, it needs activation. So right now it's underactive because that part of my brain's underactive. So I have to send 5 minutes of consistent signals. Hey, this needs to fire. Hey, this needs to fire. Hey, this needs to fire. And that'll kind of get that to come back online. Um, yeah, I think that's a very general, brief summary of why we're doing 5 minute ISOs. Brett, I don't know if you want to talk about your experience with it and what you've been feeling, but I've been feeling pretty good.
My experience is I'm still not confused, but thinking of how can we be sure it is a brain issue versus an actual structural issue, knowing if there's an actual labrum tear or muscle tear or something in the designated area. So for me, it's my right hip and my left shoulder. And Sam Davis was talking on the podcast, being like, there's people with tons of shit torn in their body that they don't feel pain. And so that makes me think about it too, is like it could be a brain issue telling me like to safeguard it and to make sure it doesn't access the range of motion that it knows it will get hurt in. So for me, for my left shoulder, it's just bench press, like any type of horizontal or vertical press, shoulder press, bench press, anything that I have to like really stabilize and to do the exercise. So machines don't bother it as much, I've noticed, because there's just more stability within the movement because I don't have to focus on like holding position as much. Like I can just trust the machine. Whereas a bench press, it definitely lights it up like a Christmas tree, like with 135. And I was like, damn. And doing the Haas 2.0 program, it's like benching 4 times a week. I was like, this is tough to get even past 225 without it feeling like it's going to fall off. And then for my right hip, it's just hip extension, like terminal end range hip extension. I was doing sled marches and feeling my glute fully contract and go through that range of motion, and I completely sparked the pain right in the front side of the hip. So that's where I'm literally looking through everything and trying to figure out, like, yeah, if I have to refer out to like an orthopedic to actually get something checked out, or if I can just keep doing this. And I've been joking, saying like to gaslight my brain into feeling like it's not in pain. I think that's a cool experiment, and that's why I'm still going with it and trying it out. But that's my only pushback and my only concern as to like, how do we know it's a true brain issue and not a structural issue?
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Like, I wouldn't say I had necessarily like any like big issues or anything. I just was like, how do you know like that Brian talked about like the sagging, like how do we know it's not just like it's a structural, like, oh, I actually need we all talk about strength and conditioning coaches, like you see forward posture in hockey all the time, like, oh, they have weak upper back, upper trap, stuff like that. So we need to do more of that. So maybe it's like, oh, maybe I haven't hit my back as much, so I need to do that. And now you have Jared and stuff like that saying it's a brain issue or underactive part of the brain that's making you sag more and stuff like that. So that's why it's curious to do it. I've definitely quote unquote felt better in the sense of I don't really feel as much shoulder pain. Like I had some shoulder pain issues. That'd be the only nagging thing. But again, it was on bench, but it also could be I'm just bad at benching, which it is. Um, so it's very interesting to go through it. I'm really hoping this helps with the speed journey because couple weeks ago. I was like, oh, damn, I'm not running very fast. I need to pick that back up. And I told Jared, if you don't make me run faster in the next week or two, I'm not doing this anymore.
I can't even sprint pain-free. And that's my thing. I get past the 10-yard mark or 15-yard mark, and my body literally shuts down. Like, we did a sprint session outside, and I was doing resisted sprints, and that felt all right. Like, it still bothered me, and I ran one without it, and like that maximal speed, getting close to that, my body just would shut off and be like, dude, stop. Like, stop what you're doing. Like, your hip is blown up, your right hand, and I think that's also causing like the right hamstring, like tendinopathy or whatever it could be. So that's where, like, it's definitely questionable, and that's why I want to go through it more. And that's what I think we're having Jared and Jungles on the pod too.
Well, like one of the things with square one is like Sam mentioned, like pain you could pretty much get rid of like probably 90% of the time. But a lot of like the common findings is when it's a structural issue. Once you get rid of that pain, it'll come back. And usually when that happens, then you pretty much know it's a structural issue. With like Slater and Jungles, their videographer, they got him out of shoulder and elbow pain, and he plays baseball or played baseball. Went back to throwing and blew up again. They cleared him again, pain free. Went back to throwing. The second time they were like, all right, you should go get it checked out because obviously like it's more than a brain issue. When he went and got it checked out, he had a torn UCL and a torn labrum. So,
Man,
brain can't fix that. I mean, that's what Dan's issue was with his bone spurs in his elbow. Like, you can't trick your brain into thinking there's no extra bone there that like shouldn't be there.
oh yeah, you might be able to like force yourself to grind through things, but obviously you're still gonna get that pain sensation and like something's off. I mean, even with this like fixing the posture, my right shoulder is going to be wonky forever. It's been separated for years, and it just like naturally looks a little bit lower. So like even in the before and after pictures, I'm like, yeah, it's still a little low, but I think that's just how it sits. Like,
I think we're good, fellas. It was a pleasure.
all right, gents.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you guys for
Brad,
coming on. Thanks for tuning in.
and if you enjoyed it, please leave a 5-star rating and review and share the show, because the only way that this show grows is if you like it, share it, and tell your friends and family about it.
New episode every Monday.